Open it up.
Yep.
Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I don't even have an agenda. Do you have an agenda? I don't have an agenda.
Hi, Carrie.
Do you have an agenda packet? Hey, why don't you give me one of the agendas?
Well, you can sit up here until,
I don't
please,
have enough
please sit up here, Carrie. Please sit up here.
Yeah, what are you doing back there?
Well, we have a, just, you gotta sit back up here with us.
Someone's
Sit
gonna make
right
a sign.
here. We
Hey, wanna
miss
hand another
you.
package, please?
You look nice.
Another package for Carrie.
Yep.
That's cool.
Take care of it. Approval of minutes, number 3. We're already at number 3. See that?
Yep.
So fast we're moving along here.
And are these the August 8th meeting minutes? that
Yes.
we're on?
Yes, they are.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of August 8th, 2017,
Second.
as written.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstaining,
The
I
ayes
wasn't
have it.
here.
Okay, and one abstention because Carrie is not present. Okay. Invoices. Tim, take it away.
Okay, so we have a pretty good list of invoices this month. And some of this work is work that's been approved to be done a while back, but we're just now getting the bills for it. So the new approach was to have a signature page for each invoice that came through, and with the number that we had this month, we did a single signature page.
Okay.
Holly in the town administrator's office put this together. So the first 3 invoices are for Strategic Building Solutions / Colliers, so that's me, the OPM fees. The first one, invoice 18113, $10,834. Invoice 18970 for $30,106. And then the third one, invoice number 19054 for $14,994. And then the next 2 are for design team, SMMA. So you have invoice 47481 for $7,120, and invoice 4740 for $10,620. Are they in order in your packet, or are they?
I don't think, I don't think so, but we're scrambling for,
It's all right, we found them so far.
reading.
it's all right.
Okay.
Got 'em.
So the next one, Concrete Solutions, this had to do with work as far as the one-way road reconfiguration. It's $27.60. There's just some concrete, I believe, for the signage, the whole sign stuff.
Oh, the basis, okay.
Yeah. WSP, that invoice for $790, that had to do with laying out the curb cut at the corner of Wellington and Dudley Road.
Mhm.
And laying that up so that Alan and his team could go through and actually do the work. So that was surveying work that was done. And that proposal had been accepted, a while back.
Yep.
Now we're just getting the invoice for it. The next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 invoices are for printing services. We have BSF Business Printing in Boston, who are printing the documents for the bid documents, managing, sending out the addenda. So most of the companies, or the vendors, are downloading the documents
Yep.
Electronically. But sometimes bidders want to pick up hard copies, so when they pick up, they'll print 5 sets, and so companies can pick them up. They leave a deposit. If they end up being the low bidder, they get their deposit back and they can hold on to the drawings. If they're not the low bidder, they can return the documents, get their deposit back, but then those drawings can then be turned back over to the low bidder so that they can use them during construction. So This is, it looks like a lot, but there was, for 5 sets, it was $943.40, and it's much less expensive now to do it this way with electronics. Most people download them and do it and take off that way, but there's still some cost there. So there's the first one, $2,284.80. You have the next couple at $943.40, one at $943.50, $64.92, $404.04, $420.27. And that covers all the printing, all the addendums that went out during the bidding for the pre-file sub-bid. Atlantic Broom, $209.32, and then the next couple under that of $40.44 and $52.33. They provided the signage and the signposts for the roadway traffic signage. Gardner Agway, $62.45. That was for some, for the seating around the disturbed lawn area around that curb cut. Holden Trap Rock, $2,422. Again, materials associated with reconfiguring that curbing at Dudley Road. Graves Concrete, similar, $103.69, again, for the one-way traffic reconfiguration. And then Templeton Paving Company, $3,500, again, for the curb cut.
For the installation.
Yeah, for installing that. So, it looks like a lot. Certainly, we're not gonna have this much, this many invoices every month. This is kind of an oddball.
Yep.
Once we get into a rhythm, we'll have, a half dozen invoices per month probably on construction.
We have 3 of them.
Yeah, because it'd be more consolidated through the GC.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
the GC, the design team, Colliers, probably some material testing.
More of a structure of value payments versus every nut and bolt, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Some testing services, maybe some geotech, oddball stuff, but.
Yep.
Pretty minimal. As you're going through, if you have any questions, once you find the appropriate invoice.
Yeah, I don't see this one.
Okay, so PM&C, that was estimating services, that's as a backup to one of the Colliers invoices you'll see at the bottom.
Where do I? Is that this one here? The chatting, I'm sorry. Oh, that's to this one in the beginning. Right, the 10/8/34. Is that right?
It's to the backup to invoice, I believe, 18970 for $30,106.
Nice guess, though,
I-
Di. Nice guess.
I probably mixed them all up when I was looking for them.
Oh, I did. I
So you
did.
can see PM&C invoice,
Okay.
so they're showing that that's
Oh, it's part of that other bill.
part
Yeah,
of.
I probably
Okay, so
screwed
it's,
them up.
okay, it's
Hold
an
on.
attachment too, okay.
Yeah,
It's backup.
Oh, yeah,
Is
okay.
it in the beginning when I?
Yeah, it's an attachment that's already been mentioned on the numbers, Di.
I just wanna put them together.
I did talk to Susan earlier today, she was gonna put together kind of a signature
You see which one?
packet
She's got it.
of just,
Am I
Diane's got it.
missing it?
Oh, that's what she's looking
Do you see the one I'm talking? Oh, this one. Okay, so it goes this, and then this, and then this. I'm sorry, yep, I got them all. Okay. Okay, so. Okay, so I make a motion to approve all the invoices as stated by Mr. Alex, however, as provided in this list, to be signed off on by the chairman of the board.
Second. Okay, motion been made and seconded. Anybody wanna go back over that list, or everybody good? Okay, that being said, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Tim.
Sure.
For knowing what you were talking about anyways.
Tim, can I just, so in this folder, can I just have attached this? There was an agenda and everything else. Can I just
It's on this here.
put the invoices with this and then have Kirk sign and date and then all of these as well? And then this needs, each of these need to be dated today, correct? There's only, it just says 2017 on it. Can I just date them all?
Well, I think
Do you-
the
do you-
fact that you have one sheet with all of them will take place
Of
of all of those.
These
Right.
don't,
Originally,
these
we were
don't
doing-
have to be done?
Correct.
Sure.
No, Holly put that together.
And this has all the codes on it?
It's one cover sheet for all the bills.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
the bills have
these,
the code, the
Yeah.
code.
so these become these are nothing.
Yeah, see, we started
Okay.
in that manner, but then when we got so
Okay,
many of them,
so
we switched
this
gears halfway through.
is nothing? Okay,
Well, you
fine.
gotta simplify, cause you just can't sign every time
Right.
somebody.
I'm sorry, you keep confusing me. So these are mine. This is mine, okay. Not
The
that I
good thing
can,
is throughout the month as these have been coming in, Holly and Susan Varney and I have been exchanging all these emails, so Holly has a copy of every one of these, Susan has a copy of every one of these.
Okay.
I have another copy, so, if you need anything, or if you have any other questions, we'll all be able to.
Okay. And there's electronic copy on everything, so that's good.
Yes.
Okay, OPM update.
So I see in your packages you have a schedule there, I didn't pass out a new one, but, we're tracking right on schedule, we've been, following along. What's been happening over the past month is that the, documents went out to bid on September sixth. Then we had a pre-bid meeting on site, I don't know, a dozen firms show up. Took a look at the site, existing building, not really any questions, it was just them to kind of poke around and take some pictures and review the area. And then the filed sub-bidders, those bids were due on the 27th, and we'll go through that in more detail. I passed out some spreadsheets of the results of how those bids came in. Next steps going forward are the general contractor bids next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. So those are
Yep.
gonna be due, they're gonna be due to the district offices. And then we'll again open them and read them aloud in the Kiva. So we set that up
Okay.
in case.
what time? I'm
Mr. Chair?
sorry.
Just a question.
Good, Chris.
Same process as last time where they came into central office, we date stamped them there, and then they went down to the Kiva.
Timestamp is the most important part.
So do we
Yeah.
wanna keep that same routine where
You
they?
need the
they-
timestamp, cause
Yeah.
if they come in late, then somebody can try to follow.
It was just a confusion in terms of where they came in initially, which was the high school, because that's where the Kiva is, obviously.
Oh.
But they were directed down to,
Yeah.
central office, which of course is the other end of the building. So I didn't know if you wanted us to do it all in one spot, meaning up at the Kiva, or did you need time to do what you did last time in terms of separation?
No, this will be very different. So we had maybe
Oh, jeez.
100, 80 to 100 come in.
On subs, yeah.
The subs, we're only expecting to have 5.
On GC.
Of GC.
So do we wanna
should
make the, both the turn-in and the actual bid at the same place, at the Kiva?
Yeah, I would just do it the way, I would just do it the way we did it last
Oh,
time.
you want us to hold
Have
this-
it, have
okay.
it come into the office where
Okay.
people are there can timestamp it.
And then tell them to go down to the
And
Kiva
then
and
tell
wait.
people to go down to the Kiva and,
Time is,
then we can go down there and open them.
Cause the last thing we want is just that technicality, somebody coming in at the last minute,
That's right.
they can't find a place to timestamp.
Right.
We don't need a grievance before we get out of the gate.
Yeah.
If you're only thinking of 5 GCs showing up, would we want to do it in the conference room next to the central office?
Yeah, we can do it there.
Just
other words-
just that way, then they're not going to 2 ends of
what
the
if the
building.
public wants?
I'm just
to-
worried about, right,
The meeting, it's already been kind of posted as
Yeah.
a potential
Yeah.
meeting in
Yeah.
case there's
Just in
multiple
case
people.
we have
Oh,
30,
okay.
40
So we'll do
people
what we
show
did
up.
last time.
Yeah,
Let's
all
just
right,
keep
yeah.
it the way it
Central
is.
office and go to the.
We had somebody at the front of the building
Directing?
to direct them back down to central office.
We don't want no
No,
snags.
that's not gonna.
And then they came in, and then they, of course, went back to the Kiva. So we'll just keep it up with that. Okay. Good.
I have in my calendar that we have a meeting at 6 PM on the 11th.
Yeah, why don't we talk about that as
Okay,
part of
I
our
just-
next.
Yep.
Okay, so first,
Okay.
okay, so the GC bids, was, is next, the 11th?
The 11th.
11th at 3.
Three.
3 o'clock.
I just wrote that down.
Okay.
And I guess getting into, what Diane was just asking about, our next meeting. So, our schedule shows that we're planning to give a letter of intent, notice to proceed to the contractor by November 1st. So between the 11th and November 1st, we have certain things to do, filling in the contract with the low bidder's name, or informing them so they can get some insurances going and get their paperwork going, start on their schedule, and issue their letters of intent to their MBE, WBE firms that they have to hire. So I just wanted to talk about the process of town approval for the project. So my understanding is that the select board has given the building committee authority to administer the project. Is that not the case?
We've not discussed that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have billing. We approve the bills and send them down, we get paid. You don't have to go to the selectmen.
Okay. Oh,
But contracts have to go through the selectmen.
okay, yeah, I get,
Right,
I guess what I'm-
administrating the project as a whole is this committee.
Dealing
The
with
selectmen are the ones that are gonna sign the contract on behalf of the town.
Well, and I guess that's where I was going, is if we want, if our deadline is that we wanna be able
About that, you know.
to have it approved to
Okay.
issue to a GC by
Hang on, Di.
November 1st.
Yeah.
We've talked
Hang
about
on,
it.
hang on, guys. Guys, let Tim talk, then we can discuss it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
We just wanna back into
Yeah.
the timeline in order to get there from between the 11th and the 1st. So, the thought of taking the bids in on the 11th and having a meeting that evening, knowing the results, you guys could then vote to recommend the low bidder
To the select person.
to the select board pending final review of paperwork submitted and so forth, but.
Right, the completion of the bid
Yeah,
package
and that
itself.
way
yeah.
we can go through a fine tooth comb and just kind of make sure that all the Ts are crossed.
Yeah.
The Is are dotted, but, not knowing when the next select board meeting is, it would probably be good on the 11th to get your vote to recommend to the select board, that way the select board can then vote at their next meeting, which hopefully is next Monday or shortly thereafter.
Di, can you answer that
Our
question?
next meeting is Tuesday, the 10th, because Monday is a holiday, and the
Okay.
warrant closes that day as well. So it's Tuesday.
Okay, so the one after, so the
And then the
next,
one after that would be the
The 24th?
23rd,
23rd, I'm sorry, yeah,
October
23rd.
23rd.
Yeah, Monday.
Well, it still works, right?
That still works, right?
Yeah, and that was
Okay,
kind of
just-
the thought process of having a meeting right after we open them.
Mhm.
So we open them that day.
Okay.
Um,
And then that way it's already on the select, we'll get on the selectmen's agenda
Yeah,
for
on
them
the
to move forward.
selectmen's,
Okay.
and in that way, now, is there anything else, that we would need to do to, be able to issue a notice to proceed other than?
I would,
the select board,
I mean,
vote
just
on
a
the
silly
project?
thing, but where is the town financially,
What do you mean?
as far as?
We
going up?
we're on track for where we opened the bids, everything appears, right, Tim, is going according to plan, and we had, a Gantt chart that said our fall town meeting is November 14th, the bids were opened, the GC bids will be opened, and we'll have our
Has the
number,
bond, has the bond been
and-
secured from the
yep,
town?
and we're with the,
I'm talking the actual town bond being secure for the school, has that been released yet? That's
I
all I'm asking.
honestly can't,
'Cause
I don't have enough knowledge to speak to you about that, I'm sorry.
yeah, well, no, my question is that, just being a contractor myself, I don't wanna sign a contract that's not funded,
Well, you can't,
to a certain extent,
you can't.
without some type of,
I know what you mean. So,
Thank you.
if I remember correctly from this conversation that happened a very long time ago,
yeah,
in the general scheme of things, the monies will never be appropriated up front, as I think what we're talking about. I think
Right.
we all get that. The issue, what I hear is that, okay, so the mechanism in which to pay, which of course is the bond, is that in
Secure.
place, right? Is that
Right.
secure, which actually
secure
probably a
enough.
better word for that. So my understanding is that according to, and I haven't spoke with Carter, but mostly through John, is that process is on track. Now, again, I don't have any other more specifics than that. This was last week when I spoke.
Yeah.
And so, and things were going along. So short of that statement right there, I don't have anything more than that.
I will ask Carter to update you both. I don't wanna say something that's not.
Yeah, no,
Well,
that's- I'm just throwing it out there because
needs to
that's,
update
we're at
the
that
board,
point now.
the
This
select
is-
board, so that they feel
Yeah,
comfortable.
we have kind of, we've gone through the chart thing and as far as everything, so, Tony Roselli came, the auditor, and that's all finished except Worcester County Regional Retirement. They didn't have their number, so the light and water department can't do their thing,
Yeah.
so they have to give us, that's,
Chicken or the egg
it's
going
not
on.
us.
Right.
It's, but everything here is good, we have a number, for free cash, we have,
Okay.
we're right there,
Okay.
so.
So
we
those
have the
questions will be answered
band,
hopefully
right?
before that we actually
We
get to
are,
that
we
point.
are right there,
Okay.
so I don't think there's gonna be, but I will, I have a couple of notes to myself for things that, remember when Carter came and we talked about, I just wanna make sure that
In
we've
contractual,
had the right conversations, and I will ask him to update the both of you.
contractually, sign GC
Right.
when, at what
Am
time?
I making
What would the
sense?
date
Yeah,
be?
I think
November
I'm
what?
making sense.
Well, November 1st to, at a minimum, issue the notice to proceed. So
Okay.
if you're issuing a letter of intent, you're saying, look, we're going to sign this contract.
Yeah.
He's gonna take some time to put it all together.
Right.
But you can start mobilizing.
Securing bonds and this and that.
Yeah, and,
Right.
and, you
Yeah.
know, kinda,
Okay.
it authorizes them to spend some money, that they know that they're gonna get paid for
Right.
any costs that they incur, even if a contract isn't ultimately signed for whatever reason, they're not.
So in layman's terms, we need a month to get the solid answer, in about a month from now, which is gonna be
Right, and
first.
So within a month, right.
We need that solid answer.
Answer,
We are
Okay, so,
financially moving,
Yeah,
bond,
and
whatnot.
from everything I know, that Carter was working towards this, and everything was on track, and so I'm sure he has a plan, and
Yeah.
I just don't know.
I hadn't heard otherwise. I just wanted to just bring that to
Yep.
everybody's
So,
attention. That
yep.
We're talking about signing contracts, so just be
no,
careful.
I will speak with,
Okay.
I'll send Carter an email later, but I've not heard anything different.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, so the question of the bids and how they came in.
Yes.
So, of the firms that pre-qualified, I don't know the percentage, but I would say at least 80% of them submitted bids for the project.
That's good.
So we did have a nice turnout, which is good. There weren't any categories. Remember that
Elevator?
the files, well, that one, we were pre-qualified.
We gave that to the GC, right? Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
we only had one of those, so we did not bid that. But the other, they were broken into categories: masonry, waterproofing, roofing, and so forth. And we got a good amount of
spread.
bidders, at least 4 bidders for each. So sometimes we even got 7 or 8, so you just didn't wanna get 1 or 2 bids on one category, cause then you don't really know how competitive those are. So the breakdown that you have is all the various different categories, so you see all the different
Yep.
bids. And so just to kinda explain how it's laid out, the name and the category on the left-hand side here, or I guess
Yep.
the far side. Then the bid security, the update statement, and the DCAM eligibility certificate, those are required.
Yep.
If they don't have those, the bid's no good. So that's a requirement. They have to acknowledge the addenda. There were 2 addendas that they needed to acknowledge.
Yep.
Then there's their bid price, and then we had some alternates, if you recall. So whether it's in addition to their
Yeah.
base bid or a
Have a
deduct
tweak.
from their base bid, if there was a cost associated with that alternate, those numbers are listed there. So once you receive your GC bids, and you can then decide whether you want to pursue these alternates. You have those numbers, and
Yep.
you'll be able to figure those out. And some bidders, well, they have to have signed their bid, that's a requirement, so we check, make sure that everyone signed it. And then some bidders can restrict who can use their number, or can open it up to everybody except this person, or can say only this person can use it. So it's a couple times, so there's a few firms that did put some restrictions on who can use their number, but for the most part, it's pretty wide open. And then the work to be performed by, and there's a number of different categories off to the far right. That's really in the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing sections. So filed subcontractors are required to do the work with their own forces. They can't subcontract filed sub work except for these categories. So for instance, in electrical, your main electrician may not do security systems, or may not do
So he's at liberty
telephones, so he's allowed
yeah,
to
sub it out.
sub those specific categories out, but he has to list who's gonna sub them to. And that's the requirement for them. So sometimes they list themselves, sometimes they sub it out, but that's what that category and those notes are about down there. So when looking at it, overall, our estimate at the end of construction documents was that these, if we were taking the low, or the estimate from each category,
Yep.
we were anticipating that we would have about $14.2 million worth of work here. When the bids came in, they came in at $14.2 million. So
Wow, we're in the mark, huh?
they were within
Where did you see that?
$2,407
Wow.
out of 14 million.
Would
So
you
they
be able
were,
to total like
I would
that?
say
Yeah,
they're
the
right
bulk-
on target.
Yeah, that's great, that's some really good news right out of the
We don't
gate.
see that,
I don't wanna let you add them all up.
sorry.
No, you don't
You
see
don't,
that.
oh, I'm like, where do you see that?
I had a cheat sheet.
Close your eyes, Di, you can see it.
Oh my God, okay.
Some categories were, more than what we had estimated, some were below what we had estimated, but
There's
in
some really good
general,
competitive bidding in here too, I'm looking at some numbers here, there's some really
Yes.
good, some are really close.
yeah, some are.
You always get the sky in the basement price, but there's some really competitive pricing on some of these categories.
Yeah, and some, some electrician, for instance, there's a big spread,
I
there's
see
only
that.
3.
Yeah.
The low bidder was
Griffin,
Griffin Electric, and they were significantly lower, but they're big enough that,
they know what they're doing, yeah.
they know what they're doing, and they can,
$500,000 spread.
they can absorb, a bid that is a little bit lower. Some guys, you might be concerned there's a huge spread, with a low, but really, it's up to the general contractor to pick his team.
Right.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
let me just get into that a little bit. So, on the 11th, the general contractor will submit their bid, it's one number. Included in their number will be one firm from each of these categories. They do not have to take the low bidder on each of these.
But they have to take the number.
But whatever, if they don't take the low bidder, then they run the risk of not being the low general contractor. But sometimes if 2 of these guys were really close, and one was an MBE or a minority business owner, and one was a WBE, there's a certain requirement to take a certain percentage of the job as WBE, MBE. So it might be worthwhile to spend an extra $10,000 to take the MBE or the WBE or something like that. So you won't necessarily get the low number on each one of these, but for the most part, you generally do. The general contractor has enough within their scope of work to be able to try and
Flexible.
Yeah, give some flexibility to hire some other firms under their scope that's might be an MBE or WBE. But it certainly gives you a very good indication of where the bids are gonna come in. Right now, they're on target. If the GC scope is following suit, we'll be right where we thought we would be.
Do the GC require the subs to be bonded, or is it all just his bond all the way through? I
It's-
mean, to us, it's his bond, but is he required to have his subs bonded as well?
Yes, I believe he is.
Yeah.
I'd have to double check that, but I believe he is.
Okay.
As far as the performance and
Yeah,
payment.
that's what I was just curious.
Tim, on a much smaller project, I remember there was a bit of a complication. The sub of a sub can request being paid direct without going through process. Does that ring a bell, or is that for much smaller projects?
No,
Yeah,
that's usually when there's a problem.
okay.
That's typically, the town has a contract with the general contractor. The sub works for him, so he has a contract with them, the sub has a contract with that sub. So the general conditions of the project, meaning the kind of the guidelines and the rules of the game, so to speak, they flow through on, all the way down to the sub, to the sub, to the sub. But generally, the town pays the general contractor,
Right.
he's required to pay his sub, they're
Okay.
required to pay their subs, and so forth. But if there's a problem,
Like if a sub don't get paid.
yeah, and to remedy that, those rules are spelled out in those general conditions
Right.
on how we go about doing that, and one of the provisions is that you could do a request for a
Gotcha.
direct payment.
Direct payment, right.
I would prefer that we never get into that, and that
Right.
they work it out themselves, because it just gets messy.
Yeah.
It bogs the job down too, because
It
you have
does.
one aspect that's not getting done.
You know, and there's
That's it.
always,
Yeah.
like any dispute, he has his version, they have their version, which is the right version,
Right.
it's usually something in between, and
Usually they work it out.
guys, you figure it out, you know, that's usually the better way to go about it.
Tim, Kurt, can I?
Yeah, good.
Can you just explain, I don't know if you said this, but when you're opening bids, you said something about there were alternate
Yeah.
bids, or,
We
could
have-
you
no,
explain that to me?
We
Is
have
that,
add alternates or delete alternates, like flooring.
what
and-
does that mean?
It means, they give a, well, go ahead, Tim, explain.
Well, within the base scope of work, so the way that Jen set up the documents is that we were gonna have, vinyl tile as the base in an area, that's within the base bid, so this number they bid on was $2 million. And if we wanted to switch from linoleum, from VCT to linoleum sheet products, it's gonna be an add of $25,000. So that 25,000 would be listed there, so if you wanted to choose that scope of work to do that enhancement, sometimes it's a credit.
Is that what this
Yes.
number is? So how come?
Well,
So
that
how
was
come
probably.
some people didn't, I guess I'm confused.
Maybe you're in the wrong
Right,
category.
so you gotta, if
okay.
you actually, so let's actually, if you turn to the second page, it's
Yeah, pick a-
probably a better, if you look under tile, the
Tiles.
second alternate that we voted on was to, replace, the base bid would have linoleum in the cafeteria. And the add alternate would be to add porcelain tile.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
in that
okay.
you can see all of the bidders have put what
Oh,
their
so
number would
se-
be
okay.
if they
All right.
went to porcelain tile.
Sorry.
So that's why you see zeros in the other categories, because it doesn't really apply to the steel.
So, okay, so in this category for miscellaneous and ornamental metals for
Right.
Berlin steel, what is this 35,000 for folding glass?
They must have assumed that, so for the folding glass doors, oftentimes there's some steel supports above. So they must have assumed that by adding those folding doors, you'd be adding steel.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe that's accurate, I
GC
think we
would-
have it in there.
Right, that would go through the design team, they would figure that out through the process, correct? In other words, whether there's
Yeah, I
steel there or
think-
not, I mean, that would be figured out.
It'll be on a print.
But yeah, we already
It's in the
know.
doc-
We already know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
They're
mean,
just,
yeah.
they
Yeah,
just made
so-
some assumptions and
Right.
carried some numbers there, and you'll see below even in the waterproofing and, you know, the caulking guys, so
Yeah.
he's figuring,
Yeah, I
all
was
right, I'm
like, oh,
gonna have
here's
to
a-
caulk around these 10 doors, so I'm gonna charge, an hour's time.
Oh, so
to
they,
these doors. That's
but you didn't
$850.
necessarily ask for that.
No,
They made some
Okay,
assumptions.
so I was,
and the ones that don't, they just show zero, they're just basically saying they're gonna do it for that
They'll-
price no
they'll do
matter
it.
what.
okay, so even if you asked for, okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
it's included in their price automatically.
Okay,
They're saying, don't worry about it, we're not gonna charge you extra if you
Okay.
choose to do that extra
all
thing.
right, thank you.
So if you remember too, you have to take these alternates in order. So you can't take number 2, 3, or 4 without taking number 1. So
Oh.
they were set up in a way that the first alternate was these folding glass doors. Alternate number 2 was the cafeteria flooring. Alternate number 3 was the corridor and other area.
We tried to prioritize what the.
In case we had to,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
and
that's
then
reflecting
number
on
4
here.
was some millwork.
Okay.
So, okay.
So there is, a
So there's an, okay.
specific order to
Mhm.
that. It's to prevent you from kind of trying to manipulate who the low is based on
Right,
the
okay.
alternate prices.
Right.
It'll be confusing enough, Doug.
No problem.
So
Okay.
does that make sense to everybody?
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
You know, sometimes we kind of go through it,
I'm familiar with the procedure
Quickly, but-
myself, but yeah, it's still, I'm just glad that they, basically shot, I mean, hit it right on the head. I mean, as far as, you know, if you line them all up, and we're within $2,000 on a $50 million project, just on the
Yeah.
sub bids, that's just like spot on.
That's
great.
good, right?
That's great, yeah.
yeah, so there were two bidders who submitted bids that we had to
That doesn't affect
reject their
that
bids.
Oh, I meant to
Because
ask.
they did not submit, or their certificate from DCAM had expired.
On what,
So-
2 GCs?
No, these were, one
Subs?
was a window
Oh.
guy, one was maybe a mechanical,
Okay.
or no,
Oh, so are those on?
one was,
The certification had expired with DCAM?
metal windows, yeah, and one was plumbing.
Okay.
You know, it's for something like this, if they could have said, oh, we just put the wrong one in the packet, we have it, we were certified at the
Yeah.
time of bid, that would have been fine.
But they didn't back
But
that.
they don't have that, so
Okay.
I called them, they said,
Yeah.
no, they're waiting for their paperwork from DCAM, it just hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah, they just don't have
So
it.
therefore, I couldn't include them in the.
So when you were opening them, you're just more looking, oh yeah, they have a certificate, but you're not really looking, so
Yeah.
then you go
So
through
then I go
afterwards, right?
through
Yeah,
and really
that's
take
what I
it.
thought you had said, okay.
So unfortunately for this plumber, his expired on September 26th, and we opened bids on September 27th.
Oh,
Really, huh?
Neither one of
That's
those
too
guys
bad.
were the low bidders,
Yeah.
so it would be unlikely that they would have gotten the project anyway.
Yeah.
but still,
But that's one of those things, it's, if they don't have it, you can't,
Yeah, just move on, just move on.
that's
Yeah.
not something, there are certain things that you can, minor irregularities that you could overlook, that's not one of them.
right,
So, an addenda will be issued, and it'll be sent out to all the bidders, so all the filed subs, anyone who picked up, actually, not even just all the bidders, but anyone who picked up plans will get a copy of
Of
the
the
addenda
results.
with this list. And then, so that will include all the general contractors, so they can start assembling their team, who they wanna use.
So they can put their final number together.
So they can put their final number together, yeah.
Excellent.
Nice.
So it's all
Coming
looking
together.
good. We're on schedule, we're on, right on budget, right on the bullseye,
That was fast, huh, Kerry?
and,
Carrie, you've been so impatient. Jeez.
She's been on this committee the longest, and I don't even wanna ask her how many years it's
She came
been.
on as a teenager.
yeah.
Yeah, she was still in elementary when she
Elementary
came
school,
on.
she-
Feels like it, don't it? All right, thanks, Tim, that was good. Everybody good with, that presentation of the sub bid? That's good, very good news.
Nice job.
Architect update. Jen, you're on.
Great, well, I don't really have much to say, other than, we'll be issuing addenda, we have until this Friday to issue addenda to the GC bidders. So we'll be doing that, and then we'll be there next week for the opening. And then our next task really is to just put together the permit documents, the stamped permit documents, so that when the GC's awarded, we're ready to go and get this thing submitted to the building department.
Has building department been, like, reviewing these right along, or is?
Well, we've been talking with,
Cause we have a part-time building
Yeah,
yes.
guy, and Mr. Hanks, he's great, but man, I mean,
I mean,
just
we've
talking to
s-
school,
we've
there's a
given
lot to
him-
digest.
We've given him copies of every single submission that we've put out. We have not had a page turn with him. I think there was, some time when he was not available to, during part of
Yeah.
the,
He works very, very limited hours, that's
this
why.
limited hours.
It's the town's fault, not his
So,
fault.
we plan to reach out to him and see if he wants to sit down with us to go over
I
the
think that'd
documents.
probably be a good idea.
Yeah, we're
Like,
gonna
cause
reach
we
out to
made,
him.
cause we had to look at, what changes right? We had to redo.
Yeah, for the energy code changes
Yeah.
and, so that's all updated and we're more than happy to
I
sit
know
down
that
with
we
him.
just talked about, he's here on
Mondays and
Monday
Wednesdays,
evenings and Wednesday evenings.
5 to 7.
5 to 7-ish,
Give
yeah.
it, you must have his email
Yep.
and all of that.
Yeah, we were gonna, reach out to him very shortly to do that.
So we're doing, hold on for just 1 minute. Well, the 11th,
I mean, he has the
is
experience,
a
he just did one in
Wednesday.
Townsend.
I
built a
wonder
school
if
in
you're
Townsend
already-
We did
so-
that,
Oh, you did?
that was our high school.
Okay, well, it's Richard
So
Hanks,
we have a
same
connection.
as, okay, you already, so you know
And then
him.
we've,
You have a
yeah,
rapport
they've
with
been
him?
talking to
talked,
Okay.
we've, through the process.
If
we
the
have
11th
been-
is a Wednesday, I wonder if since you're already gonna be here, if we could coordinate something with him so you don't have to
Sure.
make a special trip out?
Yeah.
I mean, is that a possibility, Jen?
Yeah, no, we can reach out to him, see
Okay.
if he's here
Okay.
to set something.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just to try.
Yeah,
maybe.
no, that's
Might
good
wanna
to know, 'cause I
Check with his
know-
office, because I think they do his scheduling, and if they could maybe
Do you
schedule
want
it in.
me, well,
Just
No,
so-
we'll
just a
keep
probably
thought.
better if I don't
Okay.
be in
No,
the
I'm saying
middle.
somebody reach out to his office and say, we
Yeah,
need,
Jen, yeah.
Yep.
just
Okay,
to see what you
great.
got, okay.
Yeah, it's good to know that he'll be there that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep.
Moving right along, new business. Chris?
I did, not understanding it's probably as best I should, in terms of the building inspector and the need to go over, or the building department, for example. And I know that due to financial issues, right, he can only work so many days a week, right, here, is that the reason? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just the
Right.
way, what the towns have got, yeah.
he's
Yeah.
I think he's full-time in Townsend as
Oh,
well.
He is.
I see,
Yeah.
okay. The
I'm
question that
sorry, I
was,
didn't hear Rick.
He's, Richard Hanks is full-time in Townsend.
He's only part-time here, but
He's only
full-time in
part-time here.
Townsend,
He's
right?
full-time in Townsend.
So it's very limited working hours here. And I know where you're going with it, so go ahead, I won't
Well,
take your sentence.
Yeah.
so I think that what I would ask is that, given the scope of this, could hours be, could we pay him in order to do that? That's where I was going with this,
Yeah.
through, of course, through the project. I know that we've talked, a lot of different angles, but I didn't know if that could be done. If it in fact was if it's an availability issue, and
That's a
people
very
need to
good
be paid
point.
for their time, and this is an important thing, if it takes a day, and I have no idea how long it takes to do a page turn on something like this, I don't know, but I would imagine.
I'd actually extend it even out a little bit further, the town, of course, the selectman, Richard's
This is a
appointed.
town project.
Town
and-
project, but what I'm saying is that the town is gonna have to step up somehow, some way. We can't expect a 4-hour-a-week building inspector.
So maybe I missed the
inspect
target to
A
hit the
project
tree
of
on
that
this.
magnitude.
Yes, this has
Yeah.
already been discussed.
Oh, okay.
And so we've been working with Carter on
Thank you.
what kind of time would be required, not just for Richard, but for his other inspectors.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, developing.
Plumbing, electrical, you name it, everything,
Yeah,
yeah.
what is the building permit fee, you know, and that's kind of, your structure for your building permits is kind of based on your typical construction in town. And this is
Yeah.
obviously something that's a little unusual, so some other discussions had to take place and really kind of plan for this. So that's in the works.
Okay.
Thank you.
And could I, is that, you got my email that I sent today,
That's-
that's what we're discussing in that email too, because, it's like Chris and I discussed it, and it sounds like Carter was looking for some type of, you know, but it sounds like you've already discussed it with him as to
Right.
where we're.
Well, we have, and that was kind of, you guys were copied on an email, it was kind of, you know, not
Vague
far
discussion.
down the road, but the conversation had already started, so.
Conversation
Essentially,
had
what
to be
we're
had,
looking,
yeah.
we're gonna try and provide is just kind of a breakdown of, blocks of what type of activity is gonna be happening when, so you can kind of allocate some idea of what kind of inspections are gonna be required. So-
How was that spelt out in the GC's contract? Are they responsible for permits, fees? That's not, right? It's all,
It's not in the,
Okay.
DCs,
because a municipality is exempt from fees.
Right.
Not compliance, but fees.
Right.
So of course, it's a town project, so it makes, that's what I'm trying to get at, is
Yeah.
because the fees usually associated with the magnitude, it's a balance. The town gets the fees, so they can pay for more inspectors.
Right.
To do the project. That's generally how it works, even
Right.
with say, a
You're
commercial
taking your
industrial
money from your
development.
right pocket, putting it in your left pocket.
Right,
and pay
so
you
but in
to-
that case, we're doing, it's right, so now we're saying, all right, we're saving all that money on fees, but we still need monetary consideration to get it
For
inspected
the actually get
properly.
inspected, right.
So if the dialogue's already open, we won't
Yeah,
reinvent
okay.
the wheel tonight, but
Then I must have
just
missed
wanna
that, so
bring it up.
thanks then.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good
Okay.
question, and, you know, so we have a little bit of homework to do to provide some information, but, you know, just for, you know, big picture, it's, you know, there's underground plumbing and types of things that are gonna happen early, so those types of, you know, planning those first few months, that you're gonna have some of those types of things, and you're gonna have, you know,
Electrical inspector's gonna
steel,
have
but
his,
you're not really gonna, yeah, electrical duct banks, that sort of thing. Then there's gonna be a while where you don't really have anything, but it's gonna
cause
be
it's
steel
steel construction, right,
and-
yeah, a lot of sealing.
and, you know, we have material inspectors and those sorts of things that, they just submit reports, so they'll be looking at reports, but not really coming up to the job site. But then once you start getting into, building starts getting closed, and you're doing electrical, and you're doing some of these other things, plumbing, rough, and that sort of stuff, before the walls get closed in and that stuff gets hidden, they need to inspect it. So, we'll kind of map out what that'll be, so that, he has that information.
Okay.
I have a quick question, just in my new business, for Alan, actually. The corner of Wellington Road, when you go up and, at the end, and try to loop back down, I was up there, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, said that pattern, and I couldn't help but notice, like, you know, trailer truck tires were cutting that corner, just not making it. I'm sure you're aware of what I'm talking about. Question for you, the land on the left, is that curb onto town property, or is there more to give on town property to make that intersection more doable?
That I would have to look into, I don't know.
Because, I mean, just a visual looking at it, it's just not gonna work. I mean, we really need to maximize that out. That island, to me, is wedged way down too close. I just think we're gonna have,
I'm sorry, Kurt, which,
when you go up to Wellington Road, go up Wellington Road, and you wanna loop back down to South Road.
oh,
That,
Okay.
you know, I know what the engineers say, oh, yeah,
We've been,
it's just a reversed
discussing
angle,
that,
and it's just not gonna work.
Alan and I have talked about that, and I've been going up and down
Okay,
there.
so you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Like, just a
I-
quick
I
observation, I've
do.
seen it, I'm like,
And
wow,
we've talked about that.
it's not as big as I thought up
Right.
there.
Yeah, one of the ideas was to take
Slight-
more of the bottom section of that interior median that's
Yep.
been, it just kind of push the signs up a little bit higher and give them more room to swing.
Well, that's what I was thinking, if you take the little island you created and slide that up.
Yeah, that's
So the
what we
guy
said.
coming
Take
down,
several feet of it.
he
Right.
can come up
But
and
the
around a
other
little bit
thing
better.
that
Yeah,
we talked
definitely.
about too is that, and
Can
we
we just-
need to, we still, because I knew we were having a meeting as well, and we have not gotten together with, Sonia, because I wanted to have some of this discussion, is when you go up there and you go around, like today, I went around and I wanted to swing a little wider, and I'm like, oh yeah, there are the signs, and I have a car. Those trees, it's too much, and they honestly, they need to come out altogether.
They either need to come
I-
out or
I-
at least be trimmed up so you
No,
can
they-
see.
They're trimmed down.
I got you.
But you know what, I think it might be a question of taking them out, I feel
think-
like it needs to be not blind at all. Like, I just kept, and then I went down and around again, because I wanted to, I'm,
What, you
retentive.
enjoy hitting the curb?
No, because I just, in my,
She didn't lose her hubcap the first time.
It's like, no, I didn't experience that, so you went around to make sure you
Yeah,
really
she-
experienced
she-
that,
she-
right?
She finally lost her hubcap after the second one.
But I've noticed, an island, a painted island can be driven over where a raised island can, but without the damage. And I think it's gonna take a long time. It's gonna take a while for people to get used to the pattern. I was sitting at the stop sign with guys sitting on Dudley Road with his directional on. I'm like, no, go. He's like, no, go. I wanna take a left. I'm like, no, go, because you can't come this way.
Right.
So it's gonna take a while for people
Yeah,
to
I
train
think-
themselves. I get that.
Yeah.
But to me, up at the end, the island should just be taken out and marked or striped, because it will give the tractor trailer the ability to make the biggest sweep as he can to come
I wanted
around.
to have that conversation with Peter. You know, he
Yeah.
engineered the whole process.
Yeah.
I have noticed that up there, I think you're right, I think that if we take that island out.
Paint it.
The problem is that the signs are located some and not in that particular island, so we may have to.
The signs are gonna have to go on the side, no different like on Route 2 if you're going on the, which I've never done, because you see the signs that say wrong way, you know, do not enter. You know, make a little redundancy and put them on both sides, a couple ways down.
Yeah.
Let people know, but
The other-
that island's not gonna make it the winter, number one.
That's right,
And
the other
it's gonna
issue
make
is coming down South Road when you're coming into that intersection. As you come down, the sign on the left almost looks like it's telling you not to enter into South Road.
yeah, it's, yeah,
There's an issue there
I-
too, so.
okay.
I agree.
So, it's,
So,
it's a
but
good
you know
place to
what, you
start.
have to kind
It
of
is.
have it there in order to know. Are
There'll
we-
be enough training just during the
we
construction
have
process.
time.
And
Well, I
to
mean,
And
tweak
that's
it
the good
back.
thing, we have.
That was the
Right.
whole
time.
point,
Yeah.
was, when the police department talked about how they're gonna implement this, they
Yeah.
have a kind of a,
Get something vague up
let's
there.
get some comments on what's working, what isn't, and so we have the time
Yeah.
to make these changes. And because we made these changes with paint instead of putting in
Islands.
curbing and islands, it allows us to do that without really a significant cost.
Yeah, yeah.
So my question is, and I didn't finish my thought process because you guys are making fun of me about going around twice. So
I'm not sure what bus.
because, Kirk, because there is currently a daycare there, and I am
Yes.
also concerned about everybody's safety. Instead of, I personally would like the trees to come out, but I would like posts there because there are tractor trailers, and I would like not a raised median because of what you say, and because if someone comes up and over that, where are they gonna go? Right into Sonia's yard. So could we have posts there instead to stop some of
It needs
that?
to just be revisited.
It does need to be revisited.
But I'd
The other
encourage
thing
the
I
town
will
to-
say is that I understand Sonia's concerns, but it's no worse and probably a lot better than it was previous.
It's on to the daycare.
But
The
could,
cars still came down South Road and could have gone through the fence and stuff before this project.
But I think maybe what my
but at
suggestion.
this, it wasn't a one-way before, and there wasn't a raised,
It's like it's almost like a ramp, it's a
I-
launching pad.
exactly, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
so, I don't know. Can
I
we
don't
ju-
think that
I'm
we
just
should-
asking,
But I
could we
think
think
the
about
town-
it, that's
my
all,
suggestion
could we
is-
think about it? Right now, there are trees there that would stop you from going to the fence, and I'm saying because it makes it blind, now we're gonna have nothing, could we put some posts there?
Oh, I'm not opposed to putting posts there.
But I don't know
think
what the
that's a great
safety
idea.
issues
I
for
s-
that would
I
be
would
for a
suggest that, I mean, if we
vehicle?
have plenty of time during the project, but I think we need to actually have a surveyor go out
Mhm.
and show us exactly how much the town owns there.
Yeah.
Don't just assume that the
Yeah,
walls
oh, I'm
line
not
is.
gonna assume
No, no, I'm
anything.
saying,
That's
we
not-
need hard stakes and see what we have, because who knows, it could be there, we just don't see it because of physical obstacles that you assume, everybody always assumes the wall's the line, it might not be.
I'm not, yeah.
So,
But
let's just
again,
see
we
what
have not
but I
had
just
a-
wanted to bring it up in new business, because just my observation, that's all.
I just,
Yeah.
we've
No,
not
I
had that
understand.
conversation with Sonia, and we just need to tell her what the thoughts are.
I think we do need to protect that upper end of that fencing, if we are
Definitely.
talking,
I,
whether it's post, whether it's guardrail, something that has to
but
be
for
put
right
there.
now, the tree limbs, they need to be cut, cause you have to, there are still people who have come the wrong way, and when you come out, you're like inching out too far. Do you,
Yeah,
right, do you
yeah, that
understand
was
what I'm
just my
saying?
observation. That's why I just wanted to bring it up,
Okay.
so, okay.
So, can we
That's
at
my new
least make
business.
an appointment with her?
Any other new business?
Well, I guess,
Tim?
as far as trimming the trees, is that something that the town is gonna address?
I would assume,
I
yeah, we need
can't
to find
speak
out what
for that,
size and
and
what's
I
not, right?
Can't,
I
I'm not,
just look, making sure you're not asking me to
no.
somehow.
No, I just wanted to bring it up while we
No.
we're just talking about the project as a whole.
No, of
No,
course
no, but I mean,
not.
to get that
Of course not.
engineered or
No,
hired or something like that.
No,
but I just wanted to bring that up for whatever reason, it's because it's school related, you know what I mean?
It
It's-
is,
It's because of the school we're doing all that, so.
Yeah.
Any other new business?
yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So we did this like layout of where all the places we were, this date did this. Okay, so now we're coming to the end of this piece of it, where we're gonna have GCs and then a notice to proceed. What happens after that?
So during construction, you should get just into a rhythm of updating this committee. So we would have a monthly meeting,
Okay.
typically that's,
So in my head, and we had talked about having a smaller subcommittee, and can we just have like some kind of, layout of what if it's not dates, could it be like responsibilities? Because you remember, I kinda made a couple of notes to myself. We created that little subcommittee, right? But we've not finished, I don't think, finance subcommittee and who's gonna be able to do what. We've not come, unless that's what you're planning on doing on the 23rd, about,
We talked about that as far as keeping the project rolling, as far as invoices coming in and what the
yes,
billing cycle
and
would be and
who's
what have
gonna,
you.
right
And then we're
now,
gonna-
if that's what you're planning on doing on the 23rd, then,
I think we have time to do that
Oh, the 23rd's not that far off, Kirk,
What's
so
the 23rd?
Oh,
aren't
no,
you
no,
coming
she's
to our
talking
Board
about
of
the
Selectmen meeting?
the
I'm
dollars
kinda
and
talking
cents
about
and
it probably,
Yeah,
I don't
premature.
so what's gonna happen after that? When are the meetings gonna occur? And we had talked about the smaller meeting, like, okay, so right now, you know, I thought you had wanted to request of the Board of Selectmen for that smaller committee to be able to sign off on a certain level of bills, correct? No?
On change orders.
It was,
Change
it
orders,
was,
sorry.
it was
But
change
that's
orders,
not, that's
people to
not been
go.
approved by, I don't
Well,
really know how that works.
I think that would actually be, this committee would pick
I
its
think
own
this-
subcommittee
This
from
committee
within.
has to
Right.
run the
Correct.
project.
Right,
The select board,
Sign the
in my opinion, is that the select board directs this committee to
run the project.
run the project, expend the funds of the project, as long as you're within the budget that's been approved for the project,
And make it happen.
and then report back to them how you're doing. So we can provide you with reports on a monthly basis on
Monthly or bi-monthly
financially,
or something,
what's
yeah.
the financial status of the project.
So,
But the details of the project don't need to be reported to you to then report those same details to this person to then report those same
so we're
details.
still gonna have the same process with invoices
Exactly,
and we're still gonna,
exactly.
Well,
Well, we're gonna do
This-
see what I
subcommittee.
mean? I'm confused.
Glenn, I mean, I think like, because I think you're trying to talk about two things, maybe I'm confused. The subcommittee was, like Hank had reflected, was that if there's gonna be change orders on the job,
Over a
or something
certain
comes
amount,
up,
yeah.
overtures or whatever, and something that needs a relatively quick decision,
change,
not to
yeah.
slow the project down.
well,
So we'd have.
everything, any change.
Right, but I mean, as far as, I thought it was
We
like
had a
some stuff,
dollar
we'd have
amount.
to
See what
talk
I
about
mean
it.
by
That's
we
what it was, you're
need
right.
some, I
a dollar amount.
definitely,
Anything over X amount of dollars was full committee,
Yeah.
anything under
Yeah, I
that,
thought
we,
that was discussed the last
we
time.
discussed, right?
That
It was like
separate.
50,000, I thought we said, right?
$50,000
Yeah, it was 50.
50,000
Alright,
Yeah, I think John had
if it's
printed
more than
something
that.
out that kind of,
thanks for slapping me back in reality, it's been so long, I forgot. But you're right, it was 50,000, we said.
I think he had put together something that kind of summarized that.
We did, yeah, there was a small little,
But yeah, we will need to meet as a full group, and we'll provide monthly updates. We will also need to have the smaller group get together to talk about any changes that
Are happening.
forecast and coming up to get approval for those. Then that subcommittee can report to the full committee of what you guys came up with, the decisions that you made. And then, as a full committee, you can report to the select board on a regular basis of what's going on with the project,
what is
I thought
generally,
that-
what is generally billing cycle on the GCs, monthly?
monthly.
Okay. So, really, I would say full committee monthly, and then subcommittee is at will, you know what I mean, as far as if something comes up, we just have to address it.
I think it was said that it would be as needed, more or
Yeah.
less, if something came up, then a subcommittee
Yeah,
could meet.
but we did discuss that, and it was, you're right, there was a Joel, I think, it kind of penciled something together on that.
Yeah, it does become too cumbersome to,
Meet too often, and
well, not to meet too often, but to, there's a lot of detail, and to explain all the detail
Right, it's
to
too
a
much.
big group. Especially people like, to the select board who aren't involved in the detail, who really don't, that's your role, is the way I thought it was set up. Is to, that's why,
I think we're on the same page when it comes to
yeah.
that. And that will work itself out down, like you said, at the meeting, talking to the selectmen, you could iron that out as far as saying, this is how we
Right,
hope it's gonna run.
right.
Because last thing they wanna do is go to a selectmen's meeting to get bills paid. Cause that, it makes this committee,
I'm just
Oh,
trying
you
to,
want-
I'm taking in information and, it's a town project, it's a this,
and with townspeople, we're gonna make it happen. Simple as that, make it happen.
I'll just talk to you about,
Mhm.
it's all good.
It's all good. Any other new business?
Hey.
Chris, how's school going?
We had a great opening.
Good.
Honestly, it had to be better than last year, let's face it, but,
How's the new guy, all right?
No, we had a great opening, and, October 1 obviously happened, that's a big day for us, because our numbers get set. And so we're about, we'll see, at that moment and a half, I think Chelsea said we're about plus 38.
Okay.
And that's great. So 1,202 residents in our district now, that's up
Yeah.
about 25, so, yeah,
Excellent.
it's looking really good.
Okay, do we wanna pick another, meeting, a date,
I got
sorry,
something
oh, sorry,
for-
Al?
before.
Oh,
I'm meeting with, I talked with Peter Glick a couple days ago. I'm meeting with, I'm not sure if it's the architect or Peter himself to come out and mark the trees that need to be cut so we can have a tree hearing.
Oh.
We've been working that as well, so,
Might be our landscape architect.
probably the landscape architect, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so.
you're
And we're
one.
talking about on the school site itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So the,
Am I assuming that all the ones on South Road are going across the front of the school now?
I won't know until he comes out and talks to me, but I'm guessing that that's the case.
How is the health of those trees in general? Yeah, so,
Some of them are,
we're not gonna,
most of them are pretty well.
we're not gonna,
shot.
it'd be advantageous to take them down versus trying to keep a tree that's could potentially fall on a kid in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely, but legally you have to go through.
No, I
the
know that,
process of the
procedural
tree
wise, yes.
hearing and do the whole.
you have to post it,
Yeah,
and
But
you
if the health of the
have to,
tree is in question now,
So
there's no
what
sense
we're,
in trying to
so
save
what
it.
we're doing is Peter reached out to me to make sure that we're following the right procedure. We'll go out Friday morning with our little orange cards and tag all the trees and inventory them and tell where they're at on the property, and then we'll do a posting in the newspaper. We'll have a hearing and visit each tree, and if people show up, we'll answer questions as best we can, but once that's done, the project moves on. So it's just a technicality legally, you have to do the tree hearing, so we'll do it.
Okay.
can you just keep me advised on that, because I would like to, post that, because it seems like a lot of people had, because when you took them down, down Boynton Street, there was like a small uproar, and when I showed the photographs of how diseased they were,
Yeah.
Sometimes people just don't understand, so, and obviously,
Sometimes all they have to do is make a
they
phone
just should
call.
have
Well,
to.
whenever I seen the one you guys cut several years back, and it was just bark holding
Yeah.
a 40-inch
And
tree
sometimes you don't
together.
really understand.
Like that
It
tree.
was
You
one
can't
big
really
hollow.
see that, so
That
you
was
just
kinda
kind
common,
of,
huh, Al?
that's all.
That was a very scary
So it's
situation.
the same situation here.
Wow.
It was just.
So when any kind
Wondering
of
what was holding it up.
Not good.
trees are on town property, and there were 2 towns where trees fell on someone,
Right,
Yeah.
so
and that is a
that's
large,
the worst, that's the other side of
liability.
the scenario, so
so.
you have to kind of.
I think the one you cut in front of the school is
So
much
let's
more holding up.
check your trees, people.
All right.
Okay, so
I
we,
got one
okay,
more thing.
Carrie's got one.
Oh,
thing.
yeah, Carrie.
I got one more thing. So this is hard. I knew it was gonna happen. I can't believe I'm in this situation right now, but it's been 5 superintendents, 4 or 5 principals, 3 trips into Boston to save this project, many committee members that have come and gone. But I'm here tonight because I need to resign from the committee. This project has been my heart. I feel like, I've given everything possible to get this project through. There's been so many different people in it. I can't even believe that Alex, the team, everybody has stayed on board with this town, given everything that we've been through. And I can't thank you enough, because this town desperately needs this new school. For my family's sake, we've moved to another town for my husband's job and for where he sees his career going. We love this community. Fortunately, we're in another community that's pretty much parallel to what this community is. I really hoped I was going to see this project through to the end. It's just a couple months short of 13 years. My middle daughter was a week old when I started this, and it was Dr. Hemmond's first time on this committee and leading the ship. And he called me in to get me on it. My mother-in-law was the assistant principal at that time, and they convinced me to be on it, and honestly, it was the best thing ever. Working with people that had the best interests in mind for the children of Templeton. So thank you to everybody that's on this committee, everybody that's here, emails keeping me updated, letting me know the day that you're cutting the ribbon. I can't wait to walk into that new school, and I have nothing but faith in the leadership that's in this town right now,
Dr. C has come in and he's done a marvelous job. Mr. North, leading the ship at the elementary school. I just, I think it's a perfect combination right now, and I see only positive things going forward. So thank you to everybody. Yeah, so that's the news.
Well, on behalf of the committee,
And the townspeople that are watching,
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for everything you've done. And if I had my way, have my way, you will be cutting the ribbon for us. How's that? All right? All right.
Thank you.
You've done a lot for the children here and this committee. And when it comes to leadership,
Thanks.
you've done that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that being said, motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
So Carrie can have her moment.
Just for the record, we're better than Steve Hammond, right? Because I need to write that down. We're gonna write,
We have to accept the resignation.
no, I don't know if we have to, I don't.
Chris, this is only your first time, you get 3 times to
Yeah,
go
I
on.
Don't
You gotta come and go in order to get the rank.
I'm not leaving. I'm watching, that building's being built, I'll tell you that right now.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Look out here. I'm driving down Route 2 in the silver glare getting